They locked me out of my own damn pool. My pool in my backyard on my land. And the person holding the padlock like she was the sheriff of some HOA Western. That'd be Marlene Grant, the HOA president with a clipboard in one hand and a grudge in the other. She said my therapy dogs were too unpredictable and could pose a risk to residents. That's rich, considering they've calmed more panic attacks than she's held barbecues. I stood there staring at her, not saying a word because part of me couldn't believe this was real. The other part, already dialing Frank Delgado in my mind. But let me back up a sec. I moved into Rosewood Reserve, thinking I'd found peace. I'm a veteran, 3 tours more scars than I care to count, and I run a therapy program using rescue dogs to help guys like me get back on their feet. 7 dogs each with their own story. Diesel's got 3 legs. Luna's blind, but sees right through you. Waffles, the big gentle Dane, won't hurt a fly, but he'll lean on your chest if he feels your heart racing. They're not pets. They're battle buddies. At first, everything seemed perfect. Quiet neighbors, clean lawns, even a welcome pie from the lady across the street. But Marlene. She showed up on day 3, smile tighter than a zip tie. Lovely animals, she said. I assume you're not operating a business here. I told her everything was cleared with the county. Showed her my licenses, the VA letters. She nodded, but I could see the wheels already turning. The trouble really started after our first pool session. I had 3 vets over Tim, Robert, and James, each carrying a different weight. The water helps, but it's the dogs that really break through. Luna was curled up next to Tim, helping him through a panic spiral, when I spotted Marlene upstairs, phone pressed to her face. 30 minutes later, she came storming across the lawn, screaming that the pit bull was attacking. Luna, blind, soft as a whisper. She couldn't attack if she tried. Cops came. Officer Rivera, who I later learned served in Fallujah, took one look and asked. Seriously, but it didn't matter. Next day, I got a fine, $1 and $200, and a notice cease all therapy activities or face legal action. And just like that, the place I built for healing became another battlefield. I called James my lawyer and fellow vet, and he confirmed what I already suspected. Marlene had snuck in bylaw changes during the holiday lull, slipped in rules about commercial animal use and liability coverage. She even contacted the HOA's insurance carrier behind everyone's back to claim my dogs voided their policy. It wasn't about dogs. It was about control. We prepped for the HOA meeting. I brought every piece of paper I could find. Licenses, testimonials, video evidence. Tim stood by my side, voice shaking, but steady. These dogs saved my life, he said. No exaggeration. Without them, I wouldn't be here. But Marlene, she wasn't moved. She spun a slideshow scary dog photos, fake attack stats, and some garbage about property values. She played on fear like a pro. The vote, 6-3, against me. That night, I sat by the pool, Diesel's head in my lap, Waffles leaning against my side. I remembered a moment from years ago at the VA when I first met Frank Delgado, a mountain of a man with tattoos, a thick beard, and a Rottweiler named Monster, who was more trauma than teeth. I'd helped them both. And Frank once told me, if the world ever backs you into a corner, call me. We don't leave our own. So I called him. A week later, 15 Harleys rolled down my street chrome blazing sidecars, loaded with dogs, cats, even a therapy parrot named Gunny. The Steelhaven Riders had arrived, not a gang of veteran biker group turned therapy squad. They'd legally rented my backyard for weekly meetings complete with permits insurance, everything locked down tight. Frank even brought laminated printouts. Marlene didn't stand a chance. Neighbors watched like it was a parade. Some worried at first. Then they saw the kids laughing, the bikers shaking hands, the animals doing their quiet work. Mr. Henderson, who hadn't said more than 2 words since I moved in, wandered over and ended up chatting with Frank about classic Chevys. By the end of the day, he was handing out lemonade. Marlene, though, she lost it. Came storming out in her gardening gloves, shouting that we were bringing dangerous elements into the neighborhood. Frank took off his shades, looked her dead in the eye, and said, "Ma'am, I buried friends in Afghanistan. We're not the danger here." And then, Luna Sweet blind. Luna walked slowly toward Marlene, not aggressive, just curious. She sat down right in front of her. Marlene froze. Her hands shook. "Stay back," she whispered. But Luna didn't move, just sat there, tail wagging softly. That was the crack. For a while, things got better. We held events, fundraisers, pool therapy resumed. Marlene stopped screaming and started hiding behind curtains. But the peace didn't last. One night, my motion cameras picked up someone in my backyard, Marlene pouring something into the dog's bowls. I ran out with my flashlight and caught her red-handed. Bag of poisoned treats still in her grip. Police arrested her on the spot. Charges: trespassing, attempted animal cruelty, reckless endangerment. Her face looked blank, like even she didn't believe what she'd done. The HOA held an emergency vote the next day. Unanimous. She was out. Finally. Months later, I saw her again. At the county shelter. Part of her court-mandated community service. She was brushing an old beagle named Barney. When she looked up, her voice was soft. "I'm sorry," she said. "For everything." I nodded, didn't say much, but as I walked away, I turned back and said, "Barney's lucky to have someone like you. Just don't waste the chance." Now Rosewood's different. The bikers still come every weekend. The dogs still work their magic. And kids who used to be scared now run up and hug Waffles like he's a teddy bear. Even Mr. Henderson volunteers at our events. And Marlene? Well, last I heard, she adopted Barney. Sometimes she brings him to our community days. She never comes too close, but she stays. And that's something, you know. Sometimes healing doesn't look like a hug. Sometimes it looks like a blind dog sitting quietly while the person screaming learns to breathe again. But let me ask you this: if someone tried to erase your purpose, silence your mission, and hurt the ones you love, how far would you go? Was I right to fight back like that? Or did I cross a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your wildest HOA stories and what you would have done.